Jérémy Doku's move to Liverpool has moved a step closer. It is on. Conversations between representation of the young Belgian star and his current club Rennes have been undertaken by Liverpool in the past week. They have intensified and are set to advance in the coming days. As has been well documented over the course of this summer transfer window, Liverpool Football Club have been following their standard process of not rushing into deals, not putting themselves in any kind of financial difficulty, and essentially selling before they buy. Shaqiri's move away from Liverpool Football Club to Olympique Lyon looks to be all but done. Personal terms have been agreed, according to Fabrizio Romano. Shaqiri is now pushing to join the Ligue 1 side with a fee still to be agreed, but talks are ongoing. As that deal draws closer, there is the genuine potential for the Jérémy Doku, the long-term target, a very, very long-term target of Liverpool Football Club, not a player that they've just turned their attention to since an inciting inclusion in Euro 2020 over the course of June and July. This is a serious deal that Liverpool Football Club are looking at, along with the Snaches situation as well. We're going to delve into that in a little bit more detail and, of course, gauge your views, gauge your opinions in relation to this deal. I also want to talk about Arsenal this morning. Are they on course for a potential shambles? The summer window started so well. Tavares, Lokonga, Ben White. I will not yield on my thoughts. As it stands right now, I think they are excellent signings. The type of work they were doing, the players they were making inquiries into, the Madisons of this world, the Awaz, Lautaro Martinez's, Tammy Abrahams, they could be about to lose out on the majority of those players. The Aaron Ramsdale move, which they've chased all summer, they've now had their third bid turned down. That tells me the due diligence is wrong. Clubs do not put in official bids until they're genuinely 90 to 95 to 100% of the way that they think a deal is going to get done. There has been a bit of PR spin this morning around Arsenal not wanting to spend above 20 to 21 million on Ramsdale, but a 24 to 25 million pound bid plus add-ons was made yesterday into Sheffield United. This was believed to be enough from the Gunners to get the deal over the line. Aaron Ramsdale was said to be highly frustrated that this deal is not going through. There is the potential for him to now hand in transfer requests and pushing for the move. But this doesn't negate the fact that as the league for Arsenal is just over 24 hours away from starting, there is no backup or new goalkeeper. There is no new creative midfielder in the central area or number 10 role. They haven't improved the attacking line, and the right back situation is still up in the air. They are scrimping and scraping over 5 to 10 million pounds in their pursuit of their number one target, James Maddison, and they cannot get players out the door. For all the hard work and all the quality and effort that went into the beginning of the transfer window, are we about to see that undone for Arsenal Football Club? We're talking Liverpool, we're talking Doku, we're talking about Snaches and Arsenal this morning. Smash that like button right now, people. Also sign up to our brand new notification system. The link for that is inside our description below or pinned into the live chat function. You can do that now. It's free of charge. Never miss another Football Terrace video again. You know what comes next? Let's do this, people. Good morning. Welcome back to the Terrace. Hope you are all having wonderful starts to your day. I really, really do. Premier League is 24 hours away. Brilliant preview show we did for that last night on the Terrace. If you haven't checked that out, go to our homepage after this show and go and watch it. All timestamps. You can go to the various parts, top four predictions, Golden Boot winner, relegation. Excellent show with the team last night. So make sure you go and check that out. Two teams that have been who've had frustrated fans this summer in the market have definitely been Arsenal and Liverpool fans. And we'll touch on the Doku story and situation a little bit later. As I've already said, excellent player. He's been on Liverpool's radar for a long time. As Peter O'Rourke told us yesterday morning on the Done Deal show, he spent time at the Liverpool training ground in the past. So, Liverpool Football Club are very, very familiar with him as a player, as an individual. With Shaqiri edging ever closer to an exit, expect that to be when Liverpool strike. Jurgen Klopp likes a small and compact squad. Would he have liked the business to have been done already for players leaving and players coming in? Of course he would. No manager wants it to prolong this long. But that deal is on its way. We're going to take your calls on that a little bit later. I want to start, though, by talking about Arsenal Football Club. And there's an interesting comment here from James. And we read these out. There's no echo chambers here. It says, Terry, literally days ago, you were bigging Arsenal up. And us fans were telling to calm down as we won't get anything done. We told you so. I am still, everything I've said, I stand by. The approach, the process, the length and breadth of the Europe they search to try and find these targets, the ambition that they demonstrated for particular players, the 3 signings that you've already made are excellent. But it's about getting it over the line. Now, some Arsenal fans will say, I told you it wasn't going to get over the line. I'm a benefit of the doubt type of individual. I like to see the fruits of the labor before I judge. If they close these deals off at Arsenal over the course of this summer, if they bring in Tammy Abraham and Maddison, then for me, it's been an 8, 9 out of 10 transfer window. Not all of the holes are going to be plugged for Arsenal at the beginning. However, if they end up scuttling back to Odegaard, if they end up with Divock Origi, who for me isn't as good as Tammy Abraham, and neither are as good as Lautaro Martinez, it becomes not a poor summer, but it's bad judgment. It's bad judgment because those players could have been got a lot sooner. They could have been integrated into pre-season, and Arsenal could have been ready to go over the course of the window. And the one thing that's really confusing to me right now, and this may just be, you may be absolutely right, James, and I hold my hands up to this. This is what the Football Terrace is about. No echo chambers. I feel like I'm confused by Arsenal. And I'm opening the lines very soon for you to come on and have your say. I'm very, very confused by Arsenal because you've put around 25 to 30 million, including add-ons, in for Ramsdale. At the very least, 24 million. That's what Chris Wheatley put in, and most people trust him. Let's just say 24 million so no one gets triggered. You've put in around 50 million for Maddison. I've read some reports of around 50 million has gone in for Lautaro Martinez. But both clubs want £60 million respectively. So I'm not saying forget Ramsdale because you do need a backup goalkeeper. But what you're spending on Ramsdale, that could easily be invested in 2 of your main targets. You could get them done. You could get them over the line. Could it be right that Arsenal have done all this work and never really had the intention of closing out the deals for these big individuals? It's something I didn't think they would do. It's still not something I'm convinced they're doing. But I do want your thoughts and your feelings. Is this a potential shambles in the end? The end result, process and approach is great. I could have a salesperson working in my team who has a great plan of action, does all brilliant networking. He makes the phone calls, he gets the meetings, he lines up the deals. We get the pitches in, we get down to the final 2. But if he isn't getting any of those deals over the line, he hasn't done a good job. At the end of the day, you are judged by your results. Arsenal fans, I want to know what you think and feel is going to happen by the end of this transfer window. Be as open and as honest as you like. But your club has got to deliver on some of these deals. You need a backup goalkeeper of some level. You need a new attacking players. You need more creativity. If you don't get this, how is this going to pan out for your season? What is your season going to look like? Smash that like button for us this morning, people. Get that done for us right about now. Chowdhury, one of our members here, Mrs. Singh says, Terry, Arsenal can't get worse than last season. They have no European football this year. That will help them for top 8. I think it will help them for top 8, but Arsenal Football Club, I think at the very least, and I'm putting words here into the mouths of Arsenal fans, but I feel like Arsenal supporters will, and I want to say this in the right way, even if they don't make it back into the top 6, top 4, top 6, they're going to want to see improvement. Does that make sense? That they're going to want to see the improvements that are needed in those areas to progress. They're going to want to see, do you know what? Yes, we only come sixth this year, but they're going to want to see progression. Some Arsenal fans don't care about progression. They just want to get to that end result now, instant gratification. But they're going to want to see improvements. Andrew Kerr here, thank you very much for your super chat. There was nothing attached to it, but a massive thank you indeed. Morning, Terry. Never seen Doku play. Is he a good player for Liverpool? He's very raw. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of technical ability. There's a colossal amount of speed in Doku. Is it Doku? Hell of a lot. Hell of a lot in him. Very, very talented. He strikes me as a typical Klopp stroke FSG player. Young, talented, massive ceiling, lots of speed for that press, lots of speed for that counter-attack. He can play right across the front line, so he can cover multiple positions in the attacking three of Liverpool. I think he's an improvement, especially in the medium to long term on Shaqiri and on Divock Origi. I think he could be an excellent addition to Jurgen Klopp's team and to the Premier League. All sorts of prices being mooted and spoken about across social media. I've seen everything from 30 million up to about 45 million pounds. So that very much sits in with the general themes when it comes to general themes and costings when it comes to Liverpool players this summer. Remember, we had Said Walid, one of the best football agents out there, best up-and-coming agents in European football, tell us 5 months ago, unless Liverpool sell a big player, all their signings will be between that 30 and 45 million pound mark, and they're the players they're looking at. Of course, Liverpool are still looking at Saul Niguez. They're just waiting. I mean, every day somebody messages me asking for an update. There isn't anything major to update people on when it comes to that deal. Liverpool are just waiting to see what happens with Barcelona. Do they get some new investment in? Do La Liga change any rules? Of course, they didn't do that. The 1.3 million pound a week that they're saving through not paying Lionel Messi, that enabled them to secure Saul Niguez at £300,000 per week. If that doesn't come to fruition and Saul Niguez still wants that move, I think he'll start looking at that Liverpool deal. Man United is similarly pulled out of that right now. They're not pursuing it any further. But I think then he might look at Liverpool, who are offering him somewhere in the region of £150,000 per week plus incentives, season incentives to raise his money up. He may then look at that as a potential option, as opposed to, if he can't sign for Barcelona. But the transfer fee is around that £40 million mark. And if Liverpool do end this season with Konate, Saul Niguez, this summer window, with Konate, Niguez, and now Jérémy Doku, that's a very, very good summer. It hasn't happened at the speed that everybody wants. But when you think you could pick all three of those players up for about 110, 120 million pounds all in max, that's going to be spread over a 4 to 5 year period. So your initial cost this particular season is going to be between 20 and 30 million pounds. And they're all coming in on fairly comfortable wages for a team like Liverpool. You've added strength in depth. You've added quality raw talent. You've added brilliance for the future as well as today. And then you've added one of the best central midfielders in European football, in my opinion. So it could still be a very good summer for Liverpool. I most certainly think that's needed if Liverpool Football Club are to legitimately challenge for this Premier League title. It's going to be very, very important indeed that gets done. But I do want your views and I do want your opinions right now. I've just shared the live link for you to phone in. I've now replaced it as the pinned comment as well in the live section, so you can phone up now and you can have your say. Very, very eager to hear from you this morning in relation to Arsenal situation, Liverpool situation. You can talk any transfers that you want. We've got a poll out right now asking, how would you rate Arsenal's summer transfer window? Currently, 70% of you are only rating it between a 1 and a 5. 25% of you between a 6 and a 7. 1% only 8 to 9. Strangely, 3% have given it a 10 out of 10. I think there might be rivals having a little bit of banter in relation to that. My brother here, Indiana, says Arsenal have to be pushing for top 4 with no Europe. No excuses. 6th minimum is what Indiana thinks today. Another one of our wonderful members here, Sherim, says, how likely is Doku to Liverpool? If I was to score it out of 10, I would give it a 7. And I'm only giving it a 7 because you have to get the Origis and Shaqiris out of Liverpool. The second they say done deal, here we go, between Lyon and Liverpool for Shaqiri, that would jump up to an 8.59. There's going to be no problems with personal terms bringing him in, not from Rennes to Liverpool. He wants Liverpool. Liverpool want him. The deal is on. It's progressed. Would I say that it's in advanced stages yet? No, Liverpool won't push any further now until they know a player is going to be going out of the door. They've done those preliminary talks. There isn't the need to negotiate with Jérémy Doku as much as there is Sal Niguez because of the wages and everything else. So there's a big possibility that this deal happens. No doubt about it whatsoever. There's a super chat here from Ansab, who says clubs seem to struggle to get players in due to the need to sell players. The wages in the Premier League and the elite club players seem reluctant to leave. I think it's partly wages. Absolutely. Let me take a sip of my tea. I think it's partly wages. It's also the fact that big Premier League clubs don't want to sell to their rivals, generally speaking. All their players are not of the standard that Premier League rivals want. So you then end up in this frustrating situation, this really, really frustrating situation whereby it's harder to sell. So the Premier League clubs have the income already pretty much to buy players. We are not struggling like some of our European counterparts. But selling our players to Europe is difficult because they don't have the money. So we're still being impacted as a league by COVID, by the global pandemic, by the lack of money in football, which is sometimes why it's great that the Premier League has more money than anybody else, but it actually benefits the Premier League more when you see these kind of deals that the league are getting, where there's going to be, $3 billion injected. You almost need that so those clubs have money and they can come and buy some of your players. Now, you always want to be at the top of the tree financially so that you can offer more money than anybody, generally any other league in its entirety. But you do need other leagues to be prosperous. Other leagues struggling might be great from a Champions League point of view. But even then, if two or three of the big leagues sort of fell away over the next few years and they were nowhere near the standard, and the English teams, maybe along with one German club and one French club, are brilliant, the Champions League would lose its shine anyway. The Champions League wasn't so massive between the late 70s and the late 80s because the overarching quality in the tournament wasn't deemed to be that great. That's things I've read in stories. That it wasn't looked at like it was in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It isn't looked at in the same way as it has been for the last 25 years. It went for a bit of a lull as a tournament. It wasn't a tournament that everybody looked at and even took too seriously back in them days. So you don't want that to happen to the Champions League. You need there to be an element of competitiveness for even winning the Champions League to mean something. You really, really do. But that's a really good super chat. Great points being made. If you want to phone in now, give us a call. Hi, Terry. Not football related, but David Hay is making another comeback to the ring. I have heard about that this morning. I haven't looked into it too much, but I think is the person that he's fighting also really old as well. I swear the person he's fighting is a bit of a Joe Frontier or somebody. I'm just looking. I'm going to search it now. How old is the guy he's fighting? Yeah, look, the guy's 30. He's fighting is 38 as well. I even think they're friends. So it seems a bit of an exhibition as opposed to it. The guy he's fighting, in fairness, only hasn't even had many fights. Like the guy actually has only had 10 fights in his career since 2015 till now. I wouldn't be. It's not like it's fine. The guy he's fighting, it's fine. He's not fighting a killer. He isn't fighting someone who's going to absolutely cave his head in. So yeah, I've seen it. I wouldn't be too worried about it, to be honest with you. Remember, we're still running a competition through August. Every super chat of $5, £5, $5 Canadian dollars, or whatever the equivalents in your country, your name will go into the prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice. I actually chased up my team earlier on today, Maria Williams and Mark Neighbor, who won the last 2 months competition. Their shirts should be getting sent out by the end of the week. Hasn't been done directly yet, so I apologize for that. There's been a few things on the agenda, but they will be getting sent out to them soon. D1, Ginger Fury, and other strip bear in the past all received theirs. If you want to enter that, get your super chats in now. All new member signups as well also get entered into that competition. We're going to go to my first caller of the day here. We're going to go. We've got Pav to come. We've got Ansap to come. But we're going to first go to Mohammed Patel. Welcome to the Football Terrace, Mohammed. What are you here to say?
Hi, Lou. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. What are you here to say, my friend? Who do you support, first of all? Who do you support?
United.
Lovely. What are you here to say, my friend?
It's kind of the worry going into the new season with regards to stuff like the keeper and specifically Martial. I've always been a great fan of Martial, comparing him to Rashford. But I feel over the last 2-3 years, when Rashford has been putting up world-class numbers whilst playing injured, Martial has struggled to stay fit. If you look at his injury record over the past 2 seasons, he's missed a big portion this year through his thigh injury that he sustained in April, I think. The season before I think he got not a back injury. I can't remember what it was last season, but when Rashford was out with a back injury, he was also out for a while then. So I'm quite worried with Martial's fitness. And then also the fact that his wages can be a hindrance when signing new players. That's something that I always hear when people say Martial is deadwood. That's something that they always refer to. What do you think of that?
Oh, Martial's not deadwood. He's had one bad season at Man United, and that was last year.
Yeah.
Every other campaign, his conversion rate has been between 25 and 30%. Last season, his conversion rate was at 12%. There was one reason that his season last year wasn't deemed great. He missed too many of his chances. Outside of that, his approach play, his dribbling, everything else was great. Injury record doesn't overly concern me as an example. I also think this season, in the early stages, we may see him go back to what I've always said is his best position, which is inside forward. I've never seen him as a central lone striker in those middle areas, Mohammed. So I think we'll see that. If he goes back to his normal conversion rate, which I think there's no reason to suggest that he will not, of mid to high 20s, you're talking about a man that could easily put 20 to 25 goals in all competitions into the back of the net, make things very, very difficult for Rashford to get back into the team. And that's what we should want as Man United.
Yeah, that's the hope where Martial,
Sancho's better. It doesn't matter who you think's better. It's about them all pushing hard and pushing each other to get in and out of that team.
Yeah, the hope is that Martial is so good that when he comes in, all his problem is, shall I put Rashford on the left and Martial up front, or should I keep Martial on the left? That should be his aim now, to be like first name on the team sheet in terms of attacking players. He needs to aim to be better than Sancho. He needs to be more important than Cavani, even though he's the number 9. He needs to almost be the head.
Yep, I hear you on that. Listen, Mohammed, great call. Thank you for coming on this morning and having your say. Phone in now, ladies and gentlemen. The link is in the live comment section. We are talking Liverpool's chase of Jérémy Doku. We're talking about Arsenal's current situation. But if you want to speak about other clubs, other stories, gauge other opinions, phone up and have your say. A comment here says 1 bad season. He's only had 2 good seasons. Not really, Chris. Not in my view. I feel that the bad season when Jose was here, I'm not putting on him. He fell out with the manager. He wasn't being played regularly enough. He's done well at Manchester United, and he's not a central striker. I've always said this, and Martial FC are not my friends, and I don't like Martial FC because they move the goalposts every 5 minutes, and I'm really not a fan of that in any particular way, shape, or form. However, as an inside forward, his goal scoring return up until last year has always been pretty good. I've never really had any concerns about that at all. And when people say good seasons, you're not looking at the overarching element of it. I think he's a very talented player who just needs more game time. And yes, he got 23 goals in the 2019-20 campaign. And before that, 11s and 12s. But for an inside forward, that isn't that bad. Like, could he score more? Absolutely. What was the team playing like back then? We go through that Jose era. The football was so dead. I'm not even blaming the guy. Dead, and he didn't start too many games. I think put him back into his preferred position, show him that love this season, he'll do very, very well indeed. That's what I think. I think he's had a good United career. Brilliant? No. Good? Yes. No doubt about it. In terms of his talent, excellent player. Next on the show this morning, we're going to go to Chris. Chris is here with us now. What are you here to say, buddy? You're on mute, by the way. You're going to come off mute?
Hello, Chen. Hello, Chen.
Hi, what are you here to say, Chris?
I'm saying I think people don't really understand that Marshall is more of an inside forward. So most of his goals he scores, people don't really consider them, but he's more of a good player. But if he gets more game time, I think it's lack of game time because this coming up season that we're going into, I think Ole's gonna be using more of Cavani and less Marshall. But people don't really consider Marshall, but I think Marshall is actually a good player. If you see when he's playing against Man City, the way he plays against Man City just shows that he's a quality player. If he gets game time, he can prove himself.
I agree, Chris. Very noisy where you are, but I hear you completely there on Anthony Martial. Top man, Chris. Thanks for calling in and having your say. Thank you very much indeed. Birds, mobile phones, we had all sorts there. Honestly, it's Ace Ventura in the house doing his thing. Indiana said in a comment, I've lost it now, baby, saying that Martial's 26. He's got to stop being baby. It's his time to shine. Look, I agree with you on that. Like he has, if he has another season that's underwhelming in terms of his outputs, and listen, strikers and attackers, their outputs are key. The goals you score, the goals you create are of paramount importance. Paramount importance. There's no playing it down to, yeah, but he dribbles nice and he does a lot of hard work. Brilliant. But what's the end result of that? What are you delivering to this team? That's what we need to see. And look, he's going to get an opportunity in the early parts of the season on that left-hand side, I would imagine, to deliver. And if he does, he's going to make it hard for Rashford. Next on the show, Pav's here with us. We're talking Liverpool. We're talking Arsenal's transfer situation as well. Pav, what are you here to say, mate?
Yeah, I'm just here to talk about the transfers in general with the other clubs. About a week ago or so, you were talking about Liverpool. And we said Liverpool fans should be worried if you haven't got any signings in before the season starts. Like you talk about teams going stale. Do these players at Liverpool still have the willpower to push on and try and win something? Because we've seen like your Mane and Salah and that, they don't seem to get along. And I think Liverpool are in trouble this year. I think they might struggle to get top four. I know the show that you had on yesterday, some of the panelists said Liverpool make top four. I don't think they will. I think they're really going to struggle. And in January, you're going to see Salah, Mane, maybe one or two other players go to the African Nations Cup. They're going to be in serious trouble this year. I'm not sure if they're trying to wait until they're nearer to the end of the window to try get a player in and put pressure on other clubs. But whatever tactics they're using, in my opinion, I'm not sure it's working. And it's the same with Arsenal as well. Like, you've brought in a few players. I've already said I think it's a big risk with some of the players they brought in, barring Ben White. You should have really brought in players. If you look at who they're playing and stuff like that, you really need to get going. And Arsenal and Liverpool are taking big risks in this window. And I'm not sure where Liverpool's money is. Like, we say it all the time. Where is their money? Because it's 2 years in a row they've done this. They're not spending big. A club like Liverpool, like, take my rivalry out of the way, you've won the Premier League, you've won the Champions League, you've spent fuck all. Where is your money? What's going on with them?
So I understand your challenge, and I stand by what I said the other day. There needs to be investment. There needs to be, I want to make sure I get the wording right. They have to rejuvenate this squad. Liverpool have to do that. There has to be an injection. I know that it's become a cliche now to say you've got to sell before you buy. That is always true, because if we kind of take it to its nth degree, if you never sold but kept on buying, eventually you'd have a squad with 100 players in it, and that would bankrupt your football club. So of course you have to get rid of players before you buy. I think you have to factor in that Jurgen Klopp openly states he likes a small squad, so he doesn't want to bloat it and then not be able to get rid of players. It's harder to sell players now than before. All those things being fair and accepting of them, they have to make something happen before the end of the season. I understand FSG's process. I understand Jurgen Klopp's desire to not have too big a squad. I understand selling before you buy. Most clubs follow that mantra in most occasions. Man United are looking at one more signing this summer as a minimum, but they've got to get rid of players before they're able to do that. The reason that we were able to bring in the players that we did is because we had those holes in the squad anyway. However, if Liverpool don't bring signings in outside of Kounde, if they don't rejuvenate the attacking line, if they don't bring in a Gini Wijnaldum replacement, I agree that I think they might struggle this season, not because Klopp isn't brilliant and not because the squad they have isn't great, but Chelsea and City and Man United have all again improved. There is still the likelihood, like all of our clubs, for an injury or two to set in this season that could damage you. Now, all it takes, and I'm touching wood, it doesn't happen, but a recurrence of the injury for Van Dijk, maybe, Mo Salah getting out injured, who's their best goal scorer and their best player. Henderson, will he have a season where he's fit? He's so integral to their team. So I still think they need that those new players, one, that strength in depth, that cover in case of injuries, plus everybody else is improving. So literally, I feel like things are in two places. A lot of Liverpool fans, Chris Khan, Thiago's father is actually backstage now, so we'll hear from him in a moment. They very much back what FSG are doing, and I respect that. I respect that notion. But there is still, I think, in the back of their minds, if they're being honest, that fear of, if we don't get these deals over the line and we only go into the new season with Kounde, with Gini having left, there could be some concerns about winning.
I see that Shaqiri's on his way out, isn't he?
Now, their standards are win the league or it's a bad season. It's as simple as that for me, Pav.
Yeah, I see Shaqiri's on his way out. I think is it Lyon? I think he's going to. But Liverpool wants a bit more money. So if he does go, I want to see what type of replacement they're going to bring in. Is it going to be the midfielder or is it going to be an attacker? Because, like we just said, I believe there isn't the willpower in that team. And some of the players, I don't think they have the willpower to kick on. I think some of them look like they want to leave. And I think Liverpool should have made these plans to maybe get rid of some of these players once they had won the Premier League. Like, you look at what Fergie done back in the day, rejuvenating the squad. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool go. And I'm excited for the Premier League start.
It absolutely is. And if they do a madness and they win the league without really buying anybody in, you suddenly start. Jurgen Klopp's already a great manager. He makes my category of great managers because in his career, he's won back-to-back titles and he's won a Champions League. And if you've never won back-to-back league titles and the Champions League, in my opinion, the word great shouldn't ever be uttered about you as a manager. You've got to have at least achieve those things. Pav, great call though, mate. Thanks for coming on and having your say, top man, and thanks for all your support. Thank you. Getting Thiago's father on in a second. Before that, Mr. Elmore here. I don't know why I struggle to pronounce that first name. It just does my dyslexic brain a disjustice. I can't even say it. Honestly, that kind of word does my brain in. I can't do it. I'm not even going to try. But it says, hey, Terry, Arsenal's window has been average so far. 3 promising signings. The Ramsdale fallout is embarrassing. Arteta should take the blame from the biggest mistakes in this window. Shouldn't take the blame. That's Edu that should. He has to go look at his Insta. Yeah, I know he's on holiday and stuff. Listen, I think the signings Arsenal have made are brilliant. I don't think... what I'm worried about for those signings is Arsenal fans using their frustration against those players. Like, we're a very weird set of human beings. We do this all the time. I don't like how Raheem Sterling is treated by the media. I'll give you an example here. Raheem Sterling is treated terribly by the media. There's no doubt. And we know what the undertones and the underlying nature of that is. And a number of other players suffer with this as well. We then see a Harry Maguire get into trouble. And rather than us maintaining the standards that we don't want to see the media lie and twist things and put people down and apply that mantra to all, what some people do is they're like, well, I want to see the newspapers badly treat Maguire or badly treat Phil Foden in the same way as they did Mason Greenwood or Raheem Sterling. We also do this. This isn't exclusive to that example. This is done across the board. What some Arsenal fans will do is, rather than taking out their frustration on Edu or the Cronkies, cancelling their season tickets, stop buying the shirts, which is where the focus should be, they'll take it out on Ben White. They'll take it out on Lokonga. They'll take it out on Tavares. And it isn't their fault that Edu and co so far as it stands, haven't been able to land those deals. The same as in the example I just gave. It isn't Harry Maguire's fault that the Sun newspaper are pagans. Take it out on the Sun newspaper, its journalists and its readers or its employees. You know, take it out on anything connected to News Corp. That's who your focus should be on, not, yeah, let's get Maguire at the same time. That's just the warped logic to me. I'm not angry at Raphael Varane and Jadon Sancho if we don't sign a CDM. That isn't their fault. I'm not angry with Anthony Martial if he keeps Rashford out the team. That's weird. That, again, that is key stage 1 baby thought. My children behave like that. When I tell my daughter to not put her hands on a burning hot radiator, she gets angry with me. That's what babies do. Don't be a baby. Think about, like, you don't. I'm stopping you from burning your hand, Freya. I don't like you. No, I don't like Ben White. Why? Because I wanted Madison. Then have a go at your club. But there you are. There you are, still making your content. I'm reviewing the new Arsenal shirt. Look at me. But Kroenke's out. I'll just put this money in your back pocket. Oh, it's mad. It's mad. It's mad. I saw an Instagrammer do that. Yeah, all I've seen him do all summer is moan about the Kroenkes. Man standing there with the new kit on. I'm like, bruv, I'm not telling you what to say and do. Just, I've got to mute you now because I can't do the virtue signaling. I just can't do it. What's good for the gram today? We'll have opinions that change, but the virtue signaling I can't do. Got some other examples of that, but I'm not going to delve into them today. Smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that super chat. We're going to go to Thiago's father now. My guy, Jamie, in the house. He looks suited and booted as well today. How's it going, bro?
Yeah, man. You good?
Yeah, man. Looking slick, brother. Look at that. I'm liking the tie. Nice.
Yeah, I'm on a work flex today. So yeah, Thiago's father by night, work by day. But I just want to go back to what Pav said, and there was a lot of waffle in there. Like, honestly, like respect to your viewers and people that come on the Terrace and support the Terrace. But like Liverpool Football Club, we've shown before that we don't have to buy all the time to compete. And myself and, like you said, the guys over at LFC Day Trippers, the guys over at Red Sea Podcast, we're incredibly calm because all of the sources which we're getting information from are saying that signings are on the way. You've reported some really good stuff in regards to the Sal Niguez situation. Obviously, Jeremy Doku's being linked today. An exit for Shaqiri's being linked today as well with Leon. The Shaqiri one's interesting because Leon believed that he had only a year left to run on his contract when he actually has an option of 12 months at Liverpool as well. And Liverpool could look to exercise that option. That's why they are apart on fees. Now, Liverpool have always been in a position where we have to sell to buy. Now, that's not necessarily tied to funds alone. Funds are an issue. We know that. But because of the homegrown quota, we're in a position where we've got so many players in the squad, foreign players, which unfortunately aren't contributing in the way we want them to. So they're difficult to move on. Divock Origi being an example of that. He's a player which is elected to stay at the club and hang on and cling on by his fingernails for the last 18 months because he's happy being a backup. You know, Shaqiri's is a slightly different example because he's come out open that he wants to play football and that he wants to contribute. But I just don't think he fits our system. You know, so we're in a position where I think business will get done before the end of the window. I'm calm either way. We've brought in one of the most outstanding young centre-backs in world football in Ibrahim Konate. So it's not panic stations. It really isn't.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree. A lot of people here, by the way, bigging up your beard. I don't think it's panic stations. Now, do you know what it comes down to? Because I'm not a Liverpool fan. Whenever I speak about Liverpool, it's same with all clubs. Whenever I'm positive on the Terrace about somebody else's club, it's Terry's so unbiased. He's amazing. As soon as I even ask a question, it's a question of, are you worried about your transfer window? That in itself is deemed. It's like I've walked in their house on Christmas Eve and pissed on their kids. It's like, Jesus Christ. I see it trending on socials. I asked the question, and it's like the other day I did the video about the news that was trending the other morning about maybe there being a U-turn for Messi. There were some people that were so angry that I spoke about that. I'm like, why? I went, well, because one guy openly admitted it's because I just didn't want that to happen. So I was angry that it was even being spoken about like that. Like I'm willing it into action. Do you know what I mean? It ain't Lethal Weapon. That shit don't exist. I get why you're not frustrated as of now. That's because you have faith that your club will deliver. You have faith that in the end, you will get the job done and you'll bring in the right players and the squad will be ready. I've got a feeling you'll bring someone in as well. My point has only been if you don't bring anybody else in and you're stuck with everything you've got now, I think you can make top four. I think you can make top four, but it might be a struggle, especially if you get an injury. But I can't see you winning the league, and that would be the thing that I'd be frustrated about as a Liverpool fan. That two Champions League finals on the bounce, winning one of them, two proper league challenges on the bounce. In every other season you would have won the league, and then you win it the following year. So then just to go through 2 seasons where I think he's signal bugged out there, then just to go through 2 seasons where top 4 is it. Top 4 is maybe the ceiling you can achieve. I understand why that's going to be disappointing, but I also I said to Liverpool fans, that's the mantra, isn't it? I think that's FSG's way. It's create a very good team that can win titles every 3 to 4 years, and I think Liverpool fans have just got to accept that. There seems to be no desire for them to start breaking. I think he's back now. There you go. I don't think there's any desire from FFG to break their model and try and build teams every year. Do what PSG are doing now, or do what City are doing, where they win a league title and then look to spend £250 million improving the squad. That just isn't what Liverpool are ever going to do. I'm speaking to Said Walid, who's very well connected at Liverpool. He looks after a number of their young players, a number of their legends as an agent. He's commercially involved with the club as well. And he says it openly. He just said that Liverpool will only buy a Sancho at 70 million if they sell a Mane. Mbappe's only happening if they were to get, it might not happen now. If they got 150 million pounds in for Salah, then they would have maybe looked at an Mbappe. That's what they're going to do. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. And I think that's where Liverpool fans maybe have to get with the program. But if they want to moan about them, then they can moan about them. It just is what it is. I'm sort of saying I don't think SFG are dead. I don't think they've done a lot of stupid things, but there's no such thing as perfect people. But I think they run the club well. But they run it differently to a Chelsea or a Man City that have the desire to win. Of course, they want to win the league every year, but I think there is this process of, okay, we're in a rebuild now again as a club, and it's going to take us a couple of seasons. And you look at the kind of signings like the Konates and Doku, if he comes in, they're the types of players that in 2 or 3 years' time could be world leaders. But you're getting them in at the 30, 40 million pound mark, and not in 3 or 4 years at the 120 million pound mark.
Yeah.
The type of profile of player you sign should tell, for me, is a telltale sign that you're not looking to try and win the league every year, like legit. And an example I give you, when I used to work for a major bank, they used to, at branch level, there was this talk about us getting 10 out of 10 service. We want customers to get phoned up and they'd be asked to rate us out of 10, and we all want to aim for 10s. And I used to push this mantra every day to my staff about, we do all these things and we'll get 10 out of 10s. We used to push so hard to get these 10 out of 10 scores. And then I moved to head office and I moved my way up the bank. And then I basically found out that the bank only spends enough budget for us to realistically achieve about a 6 to 6.5 out of 10 in terms of scoring, in terms of the amount of staff they put in places. Everything they do in terms of spend, they anticipate is about 6.5. Then what they try and do is they get out the staff in the branch makers work very hard. They might be able to squeeze an extra 1.52 points out of it and get in the 8s. And they're over the moon with that. But to us, they were telling us 10 out of 10 out of 10. And that's what I see what Liverpool are doing. We'll always talk about wanting to win the leagues every year. We'll always talk about wanting to be the best team in England. But actually, behind the scenes where they operate, it's, look, we're happy to try and win the league once or twice every 5 years and then rebuild and go again. That's just how I see Liverpool. And I don't mean that of any disrespect. That's just how that model looks to me.
No, I think I agree with some of what you're saying, but I disagree with other parts. I think we're just at a very different stage to where Chelsea are, to where Manchester United are, to where Manchester City are. Liverpool have been behind commercially for such a long time. United are commercial juggernauts. Chelsea are also doing good things in the commercial market. And, when you and I first met, Terry, it was on a space when we were talking about off-field effects on the field. We're just not in the same position off the field that some of these other clubs are on it. Roman Abramovich has been at Chelsea for nearly 20 years. The Glazers have been at United for nearly 20 years. The City owners, they, respect to City. They've just got piles and piles of money. So they're able to accelerate that cycle a lot quicker than FSG are. FSG have been at Liverpool for just over a decade. They celebrated 10 years at the club last year. So things are changing. The tide is turning. the difficult thing is that when you have a model which has been tried and tested and proven to work in some degree, because we went to the Champions League final, unlucky to lose it. If it weren't for an infamous goalkeeper, could have been different on the night. The next year we go again. We win the Champions League. Following year we go again. We win the Premier League. In that we're taking home the world treble as well. So the owners are going to look at that and go, hey, do you know what we're doing here is actually working? We're winning trophies. So we'll continue with that same model. If it's not broken, you don't go out and fix it. So this whole notion that Liverpool fans get into this whole hysteria that the club aren't spending the sums of money that other teams are spending, like you said, Tel, it's just not our model. We're never going to do that with this current stewardship.
And you know what I would say? Listen, you're spot on. You just, in terms of my points, why I like a conversation like this is why the Terrace exists. It's evolving the point as we move along. I think your model will change when your commercial revenue goes up. And why is that? This is because net spend isn't real. Clubs spend a percentage of their turnover. They spend a percentage of their turnover on player costs, transfers, loan fees, salaries, bonuses, agent fees, as an example. So as Liverpool's new stadium expansions generate more money, I always remember reading this statistic that for every home game Liverpool and Man United play, this was up until your expansion, Man United grow on average 1.5 to 2 million pounds richer per game than Liverpool, based on the additional fans we can have in and the money they spend at the football club. It's just basic maths. So for Liverpool, they will start to spend more because they'll probably maintain, like all clubs, whatever their percentage is. Let's just say their percentage on player costs is 40%. I'm making it up because I don't know. I haven't looked at it. But it's 40%. Yeah. 40% of 400 million is less than 40% of 500 million, 600 million, 700 million. And this is with Man United. People look, oh, you're spending more now than ever before. No, our turnover is higher than ever before. You know, if you look now at what we used to turn over in 1995, 2000, 2010, and do it, and now look now, I bet you'll find the percentage of our turnover versus player costs is fairly similar. It doesn't change. It's just you're just earning more money. So the cost goes up. Yeah. And that's it. Liverpool will get there. The pandemic definitely slowed you down because you weren't able to utilize the new sponsorship deal to its fullest. And the stadium expansion was done, but no fans were there. Where I think Liverpool fans will turn is if you start to see those increases in turnover, there's increases in profitability, but then no increase in what you're spending. I'm not suggesting for a second they will do it. I'm just putting out an example. If FSG start to pocket some of that money and say, well, look, we've got to this stage without spending, on average, 70, 80 million pound on players. We're still winning some league titles every now and then and some trophies every now and then. And now we're making an extra 100 million pound a year in profit. If they start pocketing that as an organization, as FSG, then I think the Liverpool fans will turn on them. But we'll see what happens, mate. Listen, a great call, brother. And we'll get you back on the show very, very soon.
Yeah, we'll hook up, man. It's a pleasure.
Have a good day at work, mate. And I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, buddy.
Take care, bro.
Top man. Thank you very much indeed. We're still taking more of your calls today on the Terrace. Please smash that like button this morning. We're talking Liverpool in the transfer market. Are Arsenal about to hit a transfer shambles? And any other questions you want to throw in? We've got Kai to come on the show. But next, we're going to go to Indiana. He's back again. What you saying, mate?
All good, Terry. How you doing?
Yeah, very, very well, mate. You've been on a rampage these last few days. Love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah. What's your thought and feeling? What are you here to say?
Liverpool, for me, I think they're going to miss Genie. For me, I think he's a footballer who went under the radar at Liverpool. He didn't get the credit, I think, from especially rival fans that he deserves. And I think he'll be a huge miss for them. We don't know what Van Dijk's going to be like. We don't. We can't call that. The fact that he is an elite footballer helps him a lot. I think, for me, when I look at Liverpool, Klopp cannot be happy. He cannot be happy with this window. I think he's the best manager in the league by a mile. I'm going to say that. I really do. I really do like the guy. I shouldn't as a United fan, but you can't deny how good he is. I agree with you. I think top four is where they're going to be. I don't see them winning the title. I can't see it. Maybe they'll pick up a cup, an FA Cup or something, but then they're not going to challenge for the title. I actually think we're going to see in the next few years a rivalry between Man City and Chelsea. I think I think they're pulling away. Liverpool needed to refresh that front three somehow. I know they've got Jota, and I rate him. I said on the Terrace last season he would be signing of the season, and I do believe that. I think he's a great player, but there are a lot of holes in Liverpool for me when it comes to signings and how far they are falling off rivals in terms of making signings and improving the squad. Don't get me wrong. I think Klopp can manage his way around it, but you can't tell me he doesn't want top players coming in. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me he doesn't want a striker. I just think they're gonna struggle this season in terms of Liverpool fans' expectations and where they think Liverpool are going to be. I've heard Liverpool fans say like they're winning the title this season. I can't see it. I just can't see it. I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I can't see it. In terms of Arsenal, I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea why are they even looking at Ramsdale? Why are they even looking at him? I think that's crazy. I think it's mad. Like, this is a club that had 9 centre-backs last season and couldn't find a partnership. I think Ben White's a decent player. I think he'll do well. I think he fits what Arteta wants to do. But again, like, the amount of money they're spending on wages, I think they're digging a huge hole. But without Europe, they have to make 6th minimum. They should be pushing top 4, especially if they drop out of the League Cup and the FA Cup. I expect them to put pressure on the top 4. They have to. Otherwise, Arteta's got to go. I actually think he'll be the first manager at the Big 6 to be sacked if he doesn't do that. He has to.
Mate, do you know what? I think with Arteta, I mean, I feel a little bit, again, if they don't pull these signings off, I mean, look, some people may argue and say, well, he's the reason, you know, that people don't want to join or whatever. But Lautaro Martinez would sign for Arsenal. Facts. Maddison would sign for Arsenal. Whether rival fans want to believe that or not even believe it, accept it. It's what it comes down to. It's about accepting what's being said. They would join. Ramsdale wants to join. Look, he's an interesting one, Ramsdale. Might end up going on to be a very good goalkeeper. And we'll all look back at this in a few years and be like, oh, that was a bit silly of us to not kind of rate him. But I think from an Arsenal point of view, it's I get why their fans are starting to get frustrated now because it's a case of get the job done. Edu being on holiday. I mean, him being on holiday, I get that it's frustrating, but with the current situation the world's in, most of these meetings are happening via Zoom anyway. As long as he can take a Zoom call from the hotel he's in, I don't know if it really makes a difference. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it's appearance, isn't it? It's that appearance of, you know, when something's, you know, it's a bit like, I know it's a really warped example, but you know, you'll sometimes see like there's a bit of a crisis going on in someone's country, and then you see pictures of their president or prime minister at a dinner party laughing or a game of golf. Now, the meeting that they're at could be partly to resolve that situation, but it just looks bad when people are suffering. I know this isn't as a motive or as serious as politics, but it's that thing. Arsenal fans are starting to flap and panic. They're looking to the man that's in charge, and he's off on a jet. Like, it's always going to infuriate people. It really, really
but
is.
You would do, right?
Really,
as a Man United fan, if you saw Man United finishing like 8th or below, and then imagine Ed Woodward's still the guy, and he's off on a jet ski in the transfer window, there'd be uproar. We wouldn't be happy as Man United fans. I get Arsenal's frustrations. I get it. It's crazy. I mean, they spent all that money on Pepe, put him on those wages, and then they brought in Willian to replace him. That didn't work out either. Like, it's crazy because I think although they've made some really good signings, it's the way they do business. Like, I rate Tierney. I think he will become the top left back in the league at some stage. I do think that Saka, complete baller, but it's the way they do business. It's how they do it, which I think is going to be their biggest downfall. Like, you can't just catch up to a Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea just by putting a Aubameyang on 350k a week. Like, it's mad. It's crazy to be doing that. It makes no sense. They need to be smarter in the market. It's not as if Arsenal aren't an attractive club to players. I don't think they need to operate like that.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, on your points on Liverpool, I would say that I think Liverpool Football Club. I understand the notion of them falling behind rivals in the short term, but cycles are so frequent in football. I feel like cycles are really, really frequent in the sense of Liverpool are going to come again, and then after they come again, someone else will fall away. Does that make sense? Like, I
think Klopp will manage his way out of it. Not this season, but I think honestly, he is that good that. Yeah, I think next season maybe they'll push more. But this season, look, if City sign Harry Kane, you've got Chelsea with Lukaku. I just think it's too much to ask Liverpool to be winning the title this season.
I do hear you on that, mate. I do hear you on that. I really, really do. Listen, Indiana, top man, great call. Thanks for coming on, having your say this morning. Speak to you soon, buddy.
Take care, man.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. I've got a few Liverpool fans calling me out on socials. Like, Terry, you said the same thing about what's his face? Someone said, "Oh, you said the same thing about Sauna Gez. You said about Jérémy Doku." Yeah, they're both on. I don't know if any of you ever seen. I've never once said that there was a total agreement or deal complete for Sauna Gez. Have I ever said that on any stream ever? No. What I have said, and I stand by, is that the deal was on. I've also been told that the fee is no problem between Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. But I also said, if you watch my streams, and I know some of you giving me stuff on socials, watch everything I do, because you're there clucking and circling, that I wouldn't be surprised if in the 11th hour, Liverpool try and push the price of the player down further, although they've agreed at this element that they'd be happy to pay that particular fee. You also know that I cut through all the BS. So I don't sit there and do the whole, oh, it's an agreement in principle. If a player says I'm coming and he's agreed, let's just cut through the BS. And yes, he's agreed to join Liverpool, or the clubs have agreed that the fee is acceptable, whatever. Like, you know, I love how yesterday Arsenal will spin it. If it hasn't come out already, Arsenal are going to try and spin it that no official bid for Ramsey's gone in. Watch that line come out somewhere today. It's so transparent. So yes, I stand by it. My green tick means deal on. I've already put my little transfer emoji index out there. If you're a content creator and you're trying to like spread hate, trying to like get me on that, go for it. Those deals are definitely on. Definitely. Little weaklings. And by the way, it wasn't an Instagrammer with the shirt I was talking about, because I get confused. I'm bad on socials. It was a TikToker. It's an Arsenal TikToker. Had to unfollow. Literally can't be doing that, man. If you want to follow a good Arsenal TikToker, follow Gunner King. Absolutely brilliant. But by the way, everyone's free to do what they want to do. What's happening with the Done Deal show? It's back with Dean Jones tomorrow. I was busy on Tuesday, so we had to move it. Tomorrow morning, the Done Deal show with Dean Jones is back 9:30 as always. Next on the show, Kai's here with me. Kai's a Chelsea fan, as we know. What are you here to say, buddy?
Hey, Terry, how are you? Good morning.
I'm very well, my friend. How about yourself?
Or should I say good evening? You know what I mean? It's like Emery can't take a break against Chelsea, man. First he tried with Arsenal, failed. Tried with Villarreal, failed again. Another trophy to Roman. It's the first time we have won it under the Roman era. So I'm happy. It's a bit cursed, you know. So it's good. I'm happy. Another trophy to the cabinet. And about Liverpool, I have to echo what Indiana said. You know, you can't win a Premier League, you know, rolling on a budget. It haven't happened, and there's a reason City and Chelsea have been winning the most kind of like big trophies in the last 10 years, something like that. So we'll see if Liverpool will be able to compete. But so far, I don't believe that they're. I think it will be between United, City, and Chelsea this season, and I'm excited for it. But yeah.
Listen, I think it's. I agree with you. I think with Liverpool, if they bring in Doku and they bring in Saunagez, and of course they got Konate, and they don't get any major injuries, I think they can challenge for the title. I think that's better depth. I think that gives them that kind of extra energy. I know we had a bit of a laugh with Callum last night. I think that if Thiago stays fit, he could have a much better season second year. If we all think that the Werners and the Donny van de Beeks could improve their second year in the Prem, it stands to reason that Thiago could. So they've got some quality players, but that thin squad, I just worry. We saw last year, I know that they had a lot of injuries, but it was injuries to key players. If they lost to Mo Salah for 3 or 4 months, they can't win the league, in my opinion, because nobody else is scoring them enough goals for them to win games. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. In terms of Arsenal, I mean, what do you make of their transfer window? And do you see them challenging back for the top 4, top 6 with the squad they've currently got?
I mean, my main thought about Arsenal, the fact that they died in 2004 and now they're just trying to revive themselves. And you know what? I actually disagree with what Indiana said. I think the contract extension for Aubameyang, it had to happen, because imagine if they have lost him on a free, like they had the same issue with Sanchez before. Remember the outroute that caused back in the day. So I think the board was kind of pushed into a corner to offer Aubameyang as much as he wants, and now he's not even playing as well as he used to when he was on lower wages. But it's just, for me, Arsenal, they need a revamp, from top to bottom. It's easy to say like the board, but it's not only really like the board that are kind of, even the players, if you look at them, like the way they play, it's Arsenal got to the point where it's part of the culture not to really be successful, which for me it's surprising, since I don't know how much older you are than me, Terry, but like I'm from an era where Arsenal, United, and Chelsea were like the main Premier League teams fighting for trophies, and the way that Arsenal fell behind is kind of sad in a way, because now not winning the big trophies is actually part of Arsenal now. It's so there's not really much I can say about Arsenal. The fact that they're looking at the goalkeeper, from and they can't even seal that. It's just, oh man,
Yeah.
like they could even sign Onana, but they're not even going for that. It's
Well,
that club. I feel like they do it on purpose, Terry.
Do you know what's crazy? It's not like they don't spend money either. Like I mean, do they spend like City or Chelsea or Man United? No, but they've still spent money. It's about the right players. It's about bringing the right people in at the right times. And I do feel sorry for some of the fans, not all of them. As I say, I respect what everybody does. I haven't purchased anything from Manchester United now for a number of years because I won't give any more money. So I've always said, until the club at the very least starts to be run better, and we've started to do that in the last few months, like in the last couple of years, but I want to see that continue. I'm not giving them my money. That for me is I believe in tough love in certain areas, and there's sometimes where you've got to be cruel to be kind. I would rather, and people don't like hearing this, but I'd rather every Man United fan take every penny away from the club, and the club crumbles into the Championship, and then you get taken over by good quality owners, and then you rebuild again, then continue to be run the way we were under the Glazers. Now, if you can get a change from the Glazers or a change from the Cronkies that's enough to make you win titles again and be competitive and be run well, but they still remain owners, I'm willing to accept that, because at the end of the day, what I want out of this, it isn't even the Glazers gone or the Cronkies gone. What I want is my club to be run well. That is the overarching element that I want here. But that's the length that I would be willing to go to with Man United to get them out or to get the changes that I want. The problem is with the majority of fans is protests and certain posts are great for Instagram, great for Twitter. They make, pseudo-moralistic stances to make themselves look good on social. But when it comes down to it, renewing their tickets, renewing their membership, buying the shirts, promoting the club, they want to do that. And by the way, that's their right and their entitlement, and I'm not taking it away from them. But I just mute them and don't take them seriously anymore when they moan about their club, because unless you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, it's just noise for me.
Yeah, and one last point I wanted to make about about this whole thing with the with Arsenal is, it's the fact that other teams are progressing while Arsenal are either like standing still and then having or falling behind, and then they have to play catch up. For me right now, Leicester has a better squad than Arsenal, man. And it's actually scary for Arsenal because the league is very rich right now, and if you just stand still and other teams improve their look, for example, at Aston Villa, they got Leon Bailey. 3 years ago, Leon Bailey was looked after by Juventus, by Chelsea, by all those big clubs, and it seems like Arsenal are managed so bad that even like their recruitments, they're just overpaying for players that they could do better than. And that's what's scary for Arsenal fans, because they might be left even further behind. Because can you tell me that the Arsenal have a better squad than Aston Villa altogether? Do they have a better squad than Leicester when you look at their depth?
And that's the point. If you start looking at what those, and that's where it comes to being run well. It isn't just about money. If you suddenly don't have, it's a little bit like Liverpool. Liverpool's, I think, will start to spend more, like I said earlier on. I think Liverpool are going to start to spend more money as their revenue start to grow with the new sponsorships and the new stadium and more fans coming, pandemic being over. You should start to see them increase that. However, if you don't, then you have to find a model that gets the best out of the budget that you've got, like Aston Villa's, like Everton have done, not Everton, sorry, like Leicester have done. It's been about having the right approach and getting it right. And if Arsenal would have spent the money they have in the last 10 years on the right types of players, not renewing Ozil and Aubameyang's contracts like they did, not signing the Williams of this world and the David Luiz's, not signing the Granit Xhakas, but actually, if they'd have signed the Mahrez's, if they'd have signed the Kantes, if they would have the right recruitment team and the right approach, they could have been the team to have bought those. And when you're Arsenal Football Club, if they'd have bought a Kante and a Mahrez as examples and made that work and made themselves league champions like Leicester did, they would have been able to hold on to those players because they do have the financial clout to turn around and keep those types of players at their club. The problem is they've thrown their money at so many of the wrong players. And that's where I look at it. And I don't even necessarily blame the managers. I look at it from a point of view of that's the running of the football club that needs to be addressed, which is why I'm just so shocked that 50, 60 or 1,000 people are renewing their season tickets. Millions have bought kits, millions buy merchandise, but yet to continue to moan about their football club. I just get frustrated by people that do that. Do you know what I mean? Like if I had the choice to not pay tax to my government, I wouldn't pay it to them because I don't like how they run things. But I go to prison. Do you know what I mean? If I don't pay the tax. So I have no choice. Like I don't give, I recently had someone come do some work on my house. Yep. They broke what they were trying to fix and put together. So did I pay them? No.
No, they don't deserve it.
And they fixed it out of their own. Then I said, I'll give you the opportunity to fix it once. They did fix it and did a good job. They then tried to bill me for the day of the work fixing it. So did I pay them? No. Why am I giving you your money when you've done a bad job? Like sometimes that's just my view on it, but maybe I know I see it a little different from everybody else. The whole protesting thing is great. It makes a noise. It makes a splash. But how you really hurt these people is with genuine action. And that's taking the money away from them. And look, the Glazer out movements and the Kroenke out movements, they're already dead. They literally lasted a few weeks when it was hot after the Super League, when it was fashionable and popular. And there's probably going to be lots of YouTubers, content creators, and people on Twitter that are going to kick off at me about saying that. But it's cold, hard facts. It's cold, hard facts.
It's just football fans have short-term memories. That's what it is. It's like they moan, they bitch, and then they get one good signing, and all of a sudden, oh, this club is great. Like we remember with the what's his name? I forgot his name. Pepe. Before Pepe signed, all the Arsenal were our windows crap. Our club is run so bad. Then they had Pepe. Remember when they signed Pepe? They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna challenge. And then everything just went back to what it used to be, and they were basically complaining all over again a few weeks later when the season started. That's the issue with football fans. They have such short-term memories that they forget where they actually stand. I think for a bit of a short-term happiness,
Yeah, I think there's that, but I also think they don't care as much as they make out. I don't think they do, and I think that it's. I just don't. I think some people. I've got a friend of mine who's an Arsenal fan, and he's not even on socials. And he's like, I don't like how we run the club. He said, but I'll never give up my season ticket. My day out of Arsenal with my son is what I look forward to all week. We go to some away games, all home games. Winning, it makes the day better. Mm-hmm. Losing takes a little bit of shine off it. He says, but the day's about spending it with my family. Do you know what I love about him? That's the honest truth. Some people try to pretend that their club winning trophies is the most important element, when actually it might be a day out with your friends and family that's more important to you. It might be just watching football is more important to you. It could be in the modern day world that you creating content about your football club is more important than anything else. And that's fair. But my view is just state what it is. Don't pretend that the most important thing is getting the Kroenkes out, but then renew your 3 season tickets and buy all the merchandise. That doesn't make sense to me.
You know what I think it is, Terry? I think Arsenal, just their model is like having the freshest kits. It's for me, Arsenal, their model is very hipster. Like they just want to have like the freshest, most modern kits, and the players to look good in them, and they prefer that over the quality of the actual players that they sign.
The kits do look nice, though. The kits do look nice, bro.
They do, man. Unlike Chelsea ones. Chelsea ones are horrible, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Chelsea's. I actually like Man United this year because it's like a bit of the only thing that ruins it is actually the new sponsor. Like Man United's kit, if it was just red with the badge, it's like old school.
You know 90s. What it looks like, Terry? It looks like the Football Manager, like region kits, like the.
Yeah, it does. I like it, bro. Thanks for coming on, having your say, Kai. I really appreciate it, mate. Top man. Everyone that's tuned in this morning, thank you. We're back this afternoon around 4:30. We are going to be pushing again our brand new fantasy league that we are running with our partners. Now, this fantasy league, as you know, we're going to be giving away £1 million in cash prizes with £200,000 being given to the winner. That's going to be around about 4:30 today. So we'd love to get you back on the show then. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. Hit that like and share button. Make sure you join our notifications group chat. That's in the description below. And we'll see